What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the NFC North Roundtable. What's up, Dion? How you feeling today, man?
TD, I'm fired up, man. It's good to be back. It's the offseason officially. I've really settled into it, and I'm excited. It's crazy how fast this stuff is coming up. Free agency, the draft. I'm pumped about the draft. I love the draft. I mean, I think as a football fan, I don't know. I won't speak for you guys, but I think most football fans, that is the best time of the year because you really can't be wrong. I mean, there are people that hate on certain picks, but when it's going on, it's hard to be upset. Like, you can't lose during the draft, and it makes it so fun, man. I love it. I'm pumped up.
It's always fun times, especially for the losing teams. One bar, how are you feeling, man? What's going on?
Well, Dion, just to be clear, you can lose at the draft.
Well, you can, but you don't know at the time.
Lewis Seen is a prime example of the fact that you can lose in the draft. Hey, I'm feeling good, man. The offseason, draft, it's like Christmas, free agency, cannot wait. We got some money to spend this year. I'm very excited. This is the time to be happy.
That's what's up. Nick, what's going on, man? How you feeling?
Well, this is the best time of the year for Bears fans, 9 out of 10 years of the decade. So I'm pretty pumped because that means that actually good things happen to the team consistently. So, and especially having that number 1 overall pick in the number 9, it's going to get a lot of fun real quick.
All right, well, representing the Green Bay Packers, Basaraki. He couldn't be here today, but he will be back next week. Shout out to our guy, Basaraki, man. We miss you. We can't wait to see you back next week, man. Have some fun. Enjoy yourself, all right? Listen, man, let's go ahead and dive in because there's some things happening in the NFC North that people are waiting to hear about. We're going to get to that in just one moment. But before we do, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you check out BetUS. That's who's powering this stream. You have an opportunity with the new promotion to receive a 125% sign-up bonus for your first 3 deposits. It's no longer your first deposit. It is your first 3. They're running that right now. So take advantage of it. Super Bowl odds are up because the game is going to be going down in a few days. Ladies and gentlemen, they got the Gatorade color. They got heads or tails. They got the regular game props. Check it all out. They even have the casino. But BetUS also has a YouTube channel, NFL Picks and Prediction. They just dropped the show on Wednesday. Make sure that you check that out. Get some inside scoop, what these guys think about the odds, the betting odds. You might be able to get some tips that'll help you make your slips on BetUS. That actually rhymed. Some tips to help you make your slips, bars. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get into the news of the NFC North. First of all, I want to start with the Detroit Lions. Congratulations. I don't know if that's in order. You were able to hold on to your defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn. He didn't get a head coaching job. How do you feel about that? And how do you feel about having him back?
Yeah, I mean, you feel for both of them, especially Aaron Glenn specifically, because ever since this guy's gotten here, he's honestly had these interviews. I mean, he hasn't been here that long, but now a few seasons in, he's always getting interviews for head coaching positions. He seems like he really wants that spot. It wasn't like Ben where he kind of walked out of it. He's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. And we hear the Washington stuff. He's really, I think, trying to get a head coaching position. He just hasn't landed it yet. I'm happy as a Lions fan, man. I want to keep this group together, and I think to throw on to that as well as the special teams coordinators coming back. So, that is not like something that usually gets much talk, but I think it does mean a lot because it was such a big question this offseason. And I think that's why a lot of people believe that this was going to be like the reason that people thought that, I think from the outside looking in, this could be like a 1-year type of thing where next year they could take the step back was mainly the coaching staff because there hasn't been anybody really questioning, can Brad Holmes draft talent, right? Where are they at financially now versus where they were? Everything is laid out for them to continue to do what they've been doing in terms of building the roster. It was just about who's going to lead these dudes. And obviously Dan Campbell's still here, but getting those guys back is so crucial because Dan Campbell doesn't take over one side of the ball. And I'll give him credit. In his first year, things were going poorly. He took over play calling halfway through the season. And it was like, okay, I mean, it's better. It's working, but that's not who he is. So it's so significant that the Lions have a strong coaching staff. And it's always felt like since Dan Campbell's got here, that's been one of the biggest things we can kind of hang our hats on as Lions fans. Like, yo, look at the staff. Like, I remember last year we added Scotty Montgomery. Some people watching this may know he's a running backs coach, but he was interviewing for head coaching spots. And we add him to the same position here. We just did it with the defensive line coach, right? Tennessee Titans at the Senior Bowl. He's also, I believe he was also named the assistant head coach there. And then he joins the Lions to be our defensive line coach. So our ability to land those guys, but also they're not directly just taking promotions to come here. They're just taking the direct path to stay in the same spot here. I think that means a ton. And I think that's the biggest reason for optimism. And for Aaron Glenn specifically, like, I'm an Aaron Glenn guy. I don't, that doesn't mean I like everything, in the moment that he does. There's times I really question what he's doing. I think to a fault at times, he can have way too much faith in his players and put him in spots where I'm like, yo, you can't leave that guy one-on-one. And then he does it and a big play happens. But to give him credit, he sticks to exactly who he is. You know exactly what you're going to get. You don't question like, man, this week he kind of pulled back a little bit. Or when people were questioning Dallas and they said, why'd they stop playing man coverage against Green Bay? You don't get that with Glenn. Glenn will adapt his defense, but you're always going to get an aggressive style. San Fran, he's still going to blitz you. He's going to play exactly to who he is and what he's known for with the Lions. And I think for players, while you'll get breakdowns, you'll miss things. Maybe there's too much trust in a guy at a time. I think that's what's really helped over the years as well, is because they know exactly what to expect from the guy. And I think it also lines up things for Brad Holmes. Like, it also tells you who to draft. Just a quick little side note. Remember last draft class, Devin Witherspoon, there was a lot of talk about him, Witherspoon out of Illinois. And as a Lions fan, like, I liked a lot of the top corners, but Witherspoon, I was like, okay, I don't know if he's my favorite. I didn't have as my favorite corner, but I could understand. And once you see that, okay, there was seemingly some interest there, even though they didn't land him because he went before us, you can take a step back and understand why that type of player would be intriguing in this defense. So I think it really outlines types of players to get for Brad. Like, yo, get the guys that can play in an aggressive style, because that's what Aaron Glenn's going to want. So I'm happy for it. He's improved statistically since he's been here. He's really had a great run defense over the last year and a half, and coverage has been a lot better. It's just about adding those pieces, and I'm confident that we will. So I'm glad they're all back, man. We're keeping the band together, as SpongeBob would say.
And it's always important. Keeping it together gives you a better opportunity to repeat what you just did, if not make it better. So we'll see how that turns out. One bar, man. You got to talk to me, bro. You got to talk to me.
SpongeBob, what a horrible cartoon. I tried to like that for years when my kids were watching. I could never get into it. Dion, I've never seen you so upset in my life. I apologize.
Appreciate y'all.
Hey, here's my thing, man. Lions, how can you not love, if you're a Lions fan, that these guys aren't coming back? I mean, Aaron Glenn, you're right. Aaron Glenn, he's going to be a head coach someday. He's probably going to be a damn good. I've loved that dude ever since he was playing cornerback back in the day. So I'm rooting for him, no doubt about it. Ben Johnson, this dude can be as pick as he wants. He's going to get whatever he wants. And I don't blame him one damn bit for coming back. As a Vikings fan, yeah, it'd be easy to say, yeah, I wish these guys went somewhere else, but they didn't. The thing is, Brad Holmes, he's going to continue. If he keeps drafting like he is, all he's going to do is drive up their price as far as what they're going to get paid, because he's only going to make them look better with the players that he's putting around him. So smart move on their guys' side. I mean, Aaron Glenn, he probably would have took whatever, because he, like Dion said, he wants that job. Something tells me in the long run it's going to work out very well for both of those guys.
All right, Nick, anything you want to add to it?
No, I mean, good for the Lions. I kind of feel the same way about the Bears. Like, we have, we do have fresh faces in the right places in our coaching staff, but we have the guys that are important to stay. And when I saw the Lions had that, I was like, man, all their rosters coming back, NFC North champions, NFC championship. It's going to be dangerous for them. And like One Bar was saying, their GM just continuously brings in good talent, and these guys continue to prove to develop that talent, whether they're rookies, second-year guys, veterans, doesn't matter. So the Lions are looking good. They're walking in this offseason, heads high. They know things are going to go well for them. I'm sure, Dion, you were probably a little nervous if those two guys specifically were going, but now that they're coming back, it's a really good thing. And yes, I was a SpongeBob fan, and I really appreciated the reference. So it looks like we're split here, but I appreciate it, Dion. One Bar, I think you should go reevaluate some things.
I'll try it again.
Yeah,
I'll give another shot.
Get him out here.
Got it for you, Dion.
Watch the Super Bowl celebration.
There you
go. All right. Well, I want to ask One Bar a question, but I'm going to ask you two gentlemen first, just to rile them up. I know you guys have been hearing all the rumblings about Justin Jefferson, potentially getting traded. Nick, how do you feel when you hear that?
Well, we have a wide receiver 1 spot open for the Chicago Bears. We also have the cap to pay the man what he wants. And, we got some picks we could send for him. So I am very happy with the Justin Jefferson situation for the Minnesota Vikings. They have traded in the division before. I'm sure they'll do it again, anything that they can take. And I think it'd be very nice to see Justin Jefferson in that beautiful navy blue and nice orange on the lakefront, catching some touchdowns over the stinky purple guys up north. So I'm I'm all about it. But, I'm really
Delusional,
curious.
man.
Yeah, One Bar is already drinking his Miller Lite because he doesn't like this subject at all. But, hey,
Won't be the
I'm
last
really
one.
rooting for him. I'm really rooting for him. So I hear when he wants to speak. We haven't even gotten to Dion yet.
Dion, how do you feel about it? Do you think there's something that can actually happen?
I hope so, man. I just want him to leave, man. They don't go to the Bears. Like as a Lions fan, I know we're not going to acquire him, but don't go to the Bears. That doesn't help anything as a Lions fan because the thing with Jefferson is it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter who their quarterback is. Like there wasn't a point where it's like Jefferson's playing, but who's the quarterback? It doesn't matter. It's Jefferson. He's going to go for 200 yards against us because that's what he does. You don't want to deal with that guy. And then the one time he doesn't, we have to have two guys on him the entire game. So yeah, I would just rather not deal with him. But I will say this, and One Bar may hit on this a little bit more. Just from the outside looking in, like they have a kind of a newer GM over there. And one thing that he hasn't seemingly been able to work with is like a high early draft pick. Like he's had later picks. Now, I will say, because just kind of preparing for something a little bit different, it does seem like he's had the most like questionable picks to this point. Obviously, it's still super early. Like he's had some good ones that you like, and there's also ones like I don't know if those are really going to hit. We're kind of still in a lot of wait and see mode. But a high draft pick is something that it doesn't seem like they've really had yet. So maybe that changes the force. Maybe it gives them that opportunity because I did hear, and One Bar could probably explain this better, but I heard that they'd be interested in moving up for a quarterback. So I mean, if they're really interested, everybody prioritizes quarterback over receiver. Everybody does. So maybe that's the piece that needs to make it happen.
One Bar.
Well, I mean, there's no way in hell we're going to trade with the Bears, Nick. I mean, it's just a fact. They're not going to trade. It's one thing to make a trade inside the division for a draft pick, which is still weird. But to give up the best player at his position and just hand him over to the Bears, even though they don't have, and even though he would just ruin his career there, they don't have anybody to throw him the ball. It wouldn't matter. It ain't happening to the Bears. The thing with the Jefferson trade is, Dion, you nailed it. I mean, whatever we get back for him, are we going to be able to use that to get good players? Kwesi is not proven early in the draft. I mean, Jordan Addison, yeah, he had a great rookie year. That was a gimme. I mean, he fell in our laps. Jordan Addison, it's not like this was this crazy pick like a Lewis Seen where we're like, oh, shit, man, maybe this is going to be good. He hasn't proven that. So Vikings fans look at this and they're like, you know what? Maybe if it was somebody else, maybe we look at it a little bit more. The other thing is, I think the Vikings are going to pay him. He's going to be the highest paid receiver. If he was halfway through his second contract and he was like 25, 26 years old, let's remember he's only 24 years old, and this was coming up and he wanted to re-up on his contract and we were in this situation, I would say, you know what? This makes sense because we're still going to get a ton of value for him. He's still only 25, 26 years old. But we don't know where the Vikings are going. We don't know if they're going to re-up on Kirk Cousins. We don't know if they're going to go with a rookie quarterback. You look at it from both sides. If we bring Kirk Cousins back, you think he's going to want to come back here if Justin Jefferson ain't here? No way in hell. If we draft a rookie quarterback, why wouldn't we want Justin Jefferson here? He's only going to help that dude. Jordan Addison's good, but we need weapons around this rookie quarterback. And I know a rookie quarterback is much better than a receiver to get that quarterback in place, but you guys, we need players around him. And the Vikings have so many holes. If we were to get rid of him, bring in a rookie quarterback, I mean, it's like we're setting ourselves up for a disaster. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not saying they'll never trade him. I've said this multiple times where we've watched Diggs get traded, Percy Harvin get traded, Randy Moss get traded, and we've been very lucky with some of the best receivers in the league. But this ain't the right time. Pay the man, because in 2 years, he's going to be what? The fifth highest paid receiver, and he's going to want a bunch more money. Then we can talk about trading him halfway through his contract. But not until we figure out what we're doing at the quarterback position. I don't want to, I mean, Adunze, maybe he's going to be great. Neighbors, maybe he's going to be great. I don't want to just swap him out and get one of those guys and start from scratch. Like,
well, speaking of the quarterback position, no One Bar, give me your guess. What are they going to do at that position next year? What do you think they're going to do?
Well, right now it is a guess. I mean, it's weird. Like, Kirk Cousins is too damn nice to like give any little tidbits or give you a feeling of what he's going to do. He always says the right thing. You know, hey, we're talking to the Vikings. It's, we're going to see what happens. Work out for the best of us. It's like, dude, come on, give us something. Nobody has a clue. And same thing with the Vikings right now. They're so tight-lipped. Everything is a guess. So my guess is that Kirk Cousins is going to somebody's going to throw him the bag and he's going to say, you know what, Minnesota, I love you. But this is just too great. And I think the Atlanta Falcons keeps coming up as a team that just makes too much sense. I think he's worth the $45 million. I don't think the Vikings are in a situation where they can pay him, because you know what? If we bring Kirk Cousins back, we're going to get to the playoffs, but are we going to be able to put anything around him to actually make a push? Probably not. So I don't think he's coming back. I think we do end up with a rookie quarterback, whether that's just giving up the farm and going up into that top 3 and getting somebody that does not include Justin Jefferson. But I don't think Kirk Cousins is coming back. And I think it comes down to dollars. We have too many holes. We have a ton of them.
Wow. Man, it's going to be
TD.
a crazy. Yeah.
Can I ask one question real quick on that? Yeah, a one bar. So would you be against them looking at it and saying, okay, we want to pay Kirk Cousins. We want him, let's say 4 years. We give him that extension. Because we're doing that, we're going to trade away Justin Jefferson because we don't think the process that we're going after is working. Like, we just drafted Addison, so we have a guy that we feel like started on the outside. So now we get that draft pick back. We already have a first-round pick. Say they get a late first for it, and I got 2 first-round picks that you have to work with this year. You get your quarterback under contract, try to fill out some of those holes. Now you can say, okay, maybe you don't even replace it with a receiver. Maybe you just take the approach of let's go a little old school with this, right? Let's go get another offensive lineman. Let's get a defensive lineman, and then we'll start building the trenches out, but he's going to be long-term. Would you be against that? Because you said you think he's worth $45 million. You just have too many holes.
No, so you're saying I'm picking between Jefferson and Cousins, basically.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. In a draft pick. You get a draft pick for Jefferson because you're trading him.
No, it comes back to just not having much faith in Kwesi right now as far as how he's going to fill those holes. And really, I don't think no, I wouldn't do it. And I just we don't know who our quarterback would be. Like, in that situation, what do we got? Ryan Tannehill? We got Gardner Minshew? It's just something disgusting.
No, he's saying you keep Kirk Cousins.
Your long-term deal. You're going 3-4 years on Kirk.
No, Kirk's had his chance. He's had his chance with some fantastic weapons. So to take one of those weapons away from him, even if we're building around and putting some players on the defensive line or something, I'm just done with the Kirk.
Also, don't you have to pay Hunter this offseason if you want to keep him?
Potentially. Yeah. I mean, Hunter's a free agent. That's why I say, like, the Vikings have so many questions. It's so hard to predict what they're going to do. I just don't think that Kirk Cousins, I would be fine bringing Kirk Cousins back at the $35 million.
That's not happening.
Which you're right. It's not going to happen. If it was a 35 for some way, that's it. Anything more than that, it's like, move on, man. He's had a very talented roster over the last couple of years, and we just cannot get over the hump with him.
One more question real quick. What if they make the contract friendly, so the front end of it is cap friendly, and then that last year is just like they give him the absolute bag? So like this year, they got that one last shot with Jefferson on his contract. They can bring back Hunter. Well, does he have 1 or 2 years left?
Who?
You don't have
Jefferson.
any.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Cousins.
Yeah, I thought you were talking
about No. So they bring back Jefferson or Cousins on a this year friendly contract, but next year they're going to have to just pay him everything else. Jefferson, so they has everyone for this next year, but then you're able to bring back Hunter for 1 more year, maybe sign him to a 1-year deal, and then you have this roster for 1 more shot. Like, would you take that?
No,
or you just start blowing up now?
No, I'm all for that. I mean, I still think they can make it. I mean, with the 11th pick overall, they're going to be able to fill some of those holes, and Danielle Hunter's a big part of that as well. So I'm in for them giving another shot. I don't want Kirk Cousins for 3 years, which I think he probably wants. That's my issue. It's like for 3 more years of Kirk Cousins, I'm in for Kirk Cousins. Like, and we get a young quarterback, whether it's a second rounder. I don't like JJ McCarthy very much. I'm not a big Penix guy, but if we had somebody sitting behind him and he was only here for like a 2-year contract, but I'm going to fantasy land. He wants 3 years. He wants a ton of money. So that's why I'm just like kind of already in my mind. I'm kind of thinking that Cousins is just not going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think One Bar, you're at this point where you've seen a lot of different variations around Kirk Cousins. None of them are working. And at the end of the day, the smartest thing might to actually be move on from him and build with Justin Jefferson and go get a quarterback, because at the end of the day, Kirk Cousins is going to demand too much money, and then Justin Jefferson has to get paid, and it's going to continue to limit what you can put around him. So at the end of the day, you've seen all you needed to see with the Kirk Cousins story in Minnesota. Is that correct?
It is. And,
Man,
you know,
Vikings
fans, we're like delusional. Like we keep seeing Kirk Cousins like, hometown discount, hometown discount. It's like, come on, it's not gonna happen. This is his last.
I don't know why
payday.
fans say that. Like
Big
who have
old
you heard
payday. He's gonna get it. If they pay him $45 million a year, if they pay him anything over 40, the Vikings do, you're gonna see a real sad Vikings fan on this show.
Time always tells, but let's shift over since we're talking about quarterbacks. Man, Nick, there was no Caleb in the future, and now it looks like that future might be the real deal. What are you hearing, and what do you think?
So a lot of people within the building, there's been a ton of rumors last week because of, the Super Bowl, people talking. A lot of people believe that the Bears actually are going to take Caleb Williams with the number 1 pick. From an outsider perspective, I mean, it is split down the middle. You have George Kittle saying, no, you got to stick with Fields, trade back, get a ton of picks. You have other people saying you have to go out and get a guy like Caleb Williams. He's the best quarterback prospect in the last 10 years. He's the real deal. He can help lift your offense. You guys are not too far away, and you plug in a quarterback. That's great. It's a tough position. And then you have other people saying, like, why are they posting Justin Fields on social media everywhere? Like, if they're thinking about getting rid of him, a lot of people are saying, like, he's still their guy. Like, it's split down the middle. So the Caleb Williams news, it got really interesting when Cliff Kingsbury went to the Commanders, because everyone's like, all right, the Bears are going to trade back with the Commanders, get a haul for him. And then a lot of people are like, there's no talks about that. Commanders the Commanders would have to give up too much, but the Bears aren't even listening to calls. And when the DJ Moore trade happened last year for that number 1 pick, it was March. So that's kind of the timeline. Everyone's like, okay, after the Super Bowl, people are going to start calling, things are going to start happening, so on and so forth. The bidding is going to begin for that number 1 pick. But a lot of people are saying this could be Poles' last shot. Like, if he sticks with Fields and it still doesn't work out when you had a chance to go out and get Caleb Williams, it's a big just toss up right now. For me, I'm on the train still of trading back. There's too many picks you can get, too much future you can get. The Bears still have a ton of areas they have to address, and we only have 6 picks. Yes, we have a 9, but then we don't have one till the mid-3rd. I would like to get a second back, an early third back, another first next year, swap a first this year, maybe get a veteran in it. There's a ton of situations where other teams can send a veteran for the number 1 pick. There's so many situations that the Bears can have. And if they're going to get more for the number 1 pick than what they got from Carolina last year, or the same, even from a team within the top 5. So ton of stuff going on right now. But if Caleb Williams does become a Bear, I am going to support him. One thing that makes me nervous, though, is quarterbacks that start as a rookie besides CJ Stroud. When was the last time a rookie quarterback did Super Bowl in the last 5 years out of the gate? That's just what makes me nervous. And then you have that tension with Fields and him. It could cause some locker room drama.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that. So if the organization decides to go Caleb, what type of draft compensation is Justin Fields worth at this point?
So there's been a couple reports that Fields is worth from Atlanta. So Atlanta's, like one bar was saying, like they need a quarterback. If they don't go with Cousins, like Fields is a good opportunity. Also, he's an Atlanta kid, would love to play for the Falcons. A lot of people say a second, a fourth, and then maybe a late pick next year if the Bears wanted to get a ton of picks. They also could just get like a second and third, call it a day from Atlanta. One that's popped up that I actually was on board for was trading back with the Steelers, trading to number 20. Straight up just Fields for the number 20 pick. Steelers still have a ton of picks after that. That was probably the highest value in my opinion, because you are getting that first round pick again, and you have 3 first rounders. But Fields, he's worth a second in most cases, but the farther back you go, the more it gets. Once you hit that Pittsburgh 20 plus kind of situation, then, he's worth a swap of the first, but you can get a couple picks for him. So even if they trade Fields, they're not doing a bad job getting draft capital.
So swap the first and Fields.
No. So it would be Fields straight up for Pittsburgh's number 20th. That's been a conversation that's been happening. It's steep, but also all the top quarterbacks in this upcoming draft are likely going to be gone by 20. So you're getting a guy still on his rookie contract, experienced, you can plug in, and is going to be way better than Mitch Trubisky or anybody on Pittsburgh's roster right now.
I like that. I think you probably will still have to send like a 4th or a 5th with that.
Which I'd be fine with.
Yeah.
A first for Fields and a 4th or 5th or a 4th. We have plenty of those. We have a ton of late round picks this year.
Interesting. Well, last question. This is Green Bay Packer related. I know that Bass isn't here. He'll be back next week. But I want to ask all three of you gentlemen. Jordan Love is up for his contract. Do they extend him? And if they do, what does that contract look like based off of his not playing and now all of a sudden playing, leading his team to the playoffs? We'll start with Dion.
Yeah, I mean, I would think he'd get he would get an extension like most. I would look at it like this. I would think his extension would probably have to fall into the range of what most young quarterbacks when they first get paid do. And I know it's been a short, stint. I understand it'd be like that massive deal, but and obviously teams could set it up a little bit differently. Maybe they can try to give themselves a window where they could jump out of that at some point, like year 3, hey, there's the out, something like that. But to me, it'll probably fall in that line. And I really don't think they have a great argument to say that he shouldn't get that, to be honest. Like, for what they did this season, based on a lot of what the expectation was, there wasn't just questions about the quarterback, there was questions about that team, right? And then defensively, they were banged up in the back end at a lot of points. There's a lot of questions about the defense. They fired the defense coordinator. Dude, you got the division championship game and you were right there to beat San Fran. So I understand the bad taste in your mouth to lose that football game, but I think for Green Bay, I don't think there's like a ton of argument to say like let's not make him one of the highest paid quarterbacks, just like most young quarterbacks would get paid as if they were just naturally coming off the rookie deal. It's not a large sample size, but what I think Green Bay has is they draft well. And it's like, hey, Gutekunst, there was a point where they were getting on him and it was like, yo, what are we doing when we took Love? There was a lot of heat on him because like, why'd you do that with Rodgers? And it was a messy situation. But now we're looking at it, it's like, okay, Love's actually a pretty darn good quarterback. It wasn't a good start. He bounced back and improved big time. I think they've done a lot of good things to help him, but I don't think, like the argument of like, oh man, well, it's just a really good head coach and that kind of thing. That to me doesn't really ever seem to lead to a team not paying a quarterback. Like if the quarterback's productive, regardless of what people think about how good their coordinator is or their head coach is or their offensive structure is, the dude's going to get paid ultimately if they're really successful. Like if Brock Purdy wins the Super Bowl, the dude's going to get a long-term deal there eventually. Like that's just how it's going to go down, regardless of I think what people think that is around it. And where Green Bay has the ability to also do that is that they have a plan and you see it every single year, and yet it works. Like you question every year, oh, they didn't take a first-star receiver. It's like, okay, but the second and third round guys are actually working now. Like these guys are hitting. They find offensive linemen in round 7 and they work. The only real question I have with them, because they followed the same strategy over and over. They drafted Lucas Van Ness at edge. They didn't need that this year. He didn't even play a ton this year, but it's like, just wait a couple years. Him, just like Rashawn Gary, just wait a couple years. They're expecting him to take off and he's gonna be the next staple on the defense. There's like little things you can poke holes in his drafting. So I think he'll get paid big time money. And I don't think there's a great argument against it.
What about you, One Bar?
No, the worst part is the small sample size, which I kind of like. I mean, I'd love for this just to absolutely crash him, but I'd love for them to throw the bag at him and all of a sudden it's like, oh, defense has figured him out. They got to look at him for a year and look at this. Look, he's horrible. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, he showed some fantastic signs down the stretch. I mean, if we're talking Kirk Cousins, $45 million a year, I mean, Jordan Love's got to be right in that conversation, right? I mean, he has to be. I mean, I think $45 million puts you at like what, 7th highest paid quarterback, 8th, somewhere around there. So based off of what he just did, yeah, he deserves that and he should get it. And I think he probably will get it. But if I'm a Packers fan, I'm excited, but I'm also a little scared as far as just throwing all that money with just that one half a year, really, where he looks so damn good.
Wow.
But he's going to get it. He's going to get it.
Nick, your thoughts?
I mean, a lot of people are saying Fields, like same conversation with Fields. That's what Bears fans are kind of having. You're gonna have to pay him eventually too, and his projected worth is like $41 million according to a few different websites. So yeah, I as he played and what he did down the stretch, especially against the teams that he did play, and went into the playoffs, almost beat the 49ers, and what he did against the Dallas Cowboys, he's got to get paid. I mean, you have something going right now. It's working. I don't see Matt LaFleur going anywhere. I know it's kind of going against what Dion was kind of saying, but it's just working right now. And if that continues, you got to pay the guy. If you got something good, don't lose it. I would give him like a 3-year contract though. I wouldn't give him like a 5-year because, you kind of want him to still prove it, but a ton of incentives. And then he's still young after that 3-year that he could still get a big contract if he proves it.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, the best quarterback in the NFC North. It's time to get paid, man.
Hey, it's golf's turn, man. It's golf's
That
turn,
was for
baby.
Bass.
It's off season.
Oh man, I was talking about Justin Fields, but yeah.
Hey.
Oh man, well there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure that you check us out next week, right back here on Wednesday at 6:15 p.m. We will be here. Listen, remember that the stream is being powered by BetUS, and don't forget about that bonus of 125% for your first 3 deposits now. All right. Until next time, we love you all. Peace. We are out.